What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Respectfully. And I am your host, Cameron Farmer. And today, man, let's get right into this. Bam Adebayo scored 83 points against the Washington Wizards last week, making it the second most points scored ever in an NBA game. And I am happy that Bam scored 83 points. Obviously, there have been mixed reactions, but I think the biggest reason why Bam's 83-point game is viewed as disgraceful is due to how toxic sports media via social media can be to the game of basketball. And the viral nature of modern sports media has made context one of the first casualties of a big statistic, right? When a huge scoring performance happens, the number itself, whether it's 81, 83, or 70, it spreads across platforms like a wildfires. And the story behind it gets lost. And that's where the danger lies. A performance like Kobe Bryant's 81-point game with the Lakers back in '06, it wasn't just about the number. It came in a comeback win against the Toronto Raptors. And in a moment, that became part of league history. But when another player like Bam Adebayo posts a massive scoring night, like dropping 83 points, the internet often reduces both Kobe's and Bam's moments to a side by side stat comparison, stripping away the circumstances that made each performance unique. In the race to go viral, the number becomes the headline and the context, right? The pace of the game, the stakes, the defensive attention, the historical setting, all of that gets lost. And for sports media, the challenge isn't just reporting the stat. It's making sure the story behind the number survives the algorithm. And so that begs the question, are we too quick to compare greatness? And in the modern era of sports media, the instinct to compare great performances has become almost automatic. The moment a player posts an eye popping stat line, the conversation quickly shifts from appreciating the performance itself to asking where it ranks historically. When a player like Bam Adebayo has a massive scoring night, the debate often jumps straight to how it stacks up against iconic moments like Kobe Bryant's 81-point game. And that's what's so dangerous. And the danger in that is that it can short circuit appreciation of the present moment. Instead of letting a performance stand on its own 2 feet and its own merit, it gets pulled into a comparison with one of the most legendary nights in league history. And we got to stop doing this because that approach can distort both sides of the conversation, either inflating the new performance beyond its context or unintentionally or intentionally minimizing the historical significance of the original, right? Greatness in sports often lives in the details of the moment, the stakes of the game, the matchup, the flow of the night, and the cultural impact that follows. When media rushes to compare everything to Kobe, to Michael Jordan, to the biggest historical benchmarks, it often risks turning unique achievements into mere entries in the statistical leaderboard like I'm playing Mario Kart, rather than the distinct moments that make sports history compelling. And it seems like there's this responsibility to protect the legacy of Kobe. And even though legacy protection doesn't mean shielding past greats from comparison, it simply means that we're making sure the context that gave those moments their significance isn't erased for the sake of a headline or a viral post. When media outlets frame a new performance simply as more than Kobe, the discussion shifts away from appreciating what the current player accomplished and instead creates a misleading competition with history. Responsible coverage should celebrate the new moment while still preserving the historical weight of the original, because once context disappears, the legacy attached to those milestones can slowly erode and disappear. And so, to the people that find Bam Adebayo's 83-point game disgraceful, why? In the NBA, there's this unwritten rule that if a team is already winning in the game, especially late in the fourth quarter, and you're up by 10 or more points, said team isn't allowed to score. And I see it all the time with Russell Westbrook, how he gets heated at opposing teams' players who score at the end of the game, knowing that that opposing team is already winning. So respectfully, bump that rule. Eh, it's not what Kobe did. Bro, like, who cares? The funniest thing that I've seen is when former NBA players like to put an asterisk next to an achievement they have respectfully never accomplished in their careers, right? Players who played against Kobe, players who were on the receiving end of Kobe's 81 points and posed zero threat to him. And it's unfortunate that this is happening. And so my question is, who are y'all to put an asterisk next to anything you've never accomplished? That's why when people put an asterisk next to the Lakers 2020 championship, I just disengage from the conversation, because these are the same people who were never on an NBA team or respectfully were part of an NBA team. They tried to get back in and they had a tryout and they never got a call back. And so now they're stuck podcasting and reminiscing on how their career could have turned out. This is disgusting work. And so now we want to call Bam's performance unethical. Oh, Cam, it's not what he did, it's how he did it. Y'all got more smoke for how Bam achieved this accomplishment than Donald Trump and how he became a billionaire. When NBA players commit legitimate, unethical, and immoral practices, cough, cough, no disrespect, Terry Rozier and Jonte Porter, just to name a few, y'all want to turn a blind eye, but y'all draw the line at a basketball player who shot a couple more free throws than what you see most players shoot. Mind you, Bam only attempts under 6 free throws a game. So it's not like he's flopping. It's not like he's foul baiting. People want to talk about how many free throws he attempted, but won't speak on out that of the 34 fouls committed against Miami, 23 of those fouls were committed against Bam, with 21 of those fouls being committed against him before his 80th point. And yes, most, if not all, of those fouls were legitimate. People will talk about how it became an exhibition game in the fourth quarter, but won't mention how the game was already over in the third quarter when the score was 75-100. Or how when it was the fourth quarter, Washington was triple teaming him. And Miami went into the bonus with 6 minutes and 43 seconds left in the game. Again, not because Bam was flopping, not because he was foul baiting, but because he was legitimately hooping. That's why out of the 23 fouls committed against him, 13 of those fouls were committed by Washington's forwards and centers. In other words, they had no answer for Bam. Oh, Cam, I just didn't like how they intentionally fouled all fourth quarter to get Bam to 83. Isn't that what they did to Wilt? Isn't that what they did to David Robinson? I strictly remember timeouts being intentionally called for Devin Booker to get to 70. Right? The intentional fouling on Miami, which there were 3 committed, it didn't start until there was a minute and 40 seconds left in the game. Y'all hate how Bam scored 4 points off of 4 free throws at the end of the game to get to 83 points when the game was already over. But that's similar to what Kobe did. If I'm not mistaken, when there was 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the game, in that Raptors game, Kobe had 74. The score is 117-102. The comeback is already complete. The game is won. But why continue to add 7 points in free throws to an already historic night? Why weren't people mad at Kobe for breaking this unwritten rule? And what people won't even mention or probably don't even know about that Raptors game is that Kobe didn't even get subbed out of that game for Devin Green until there was 4 seconds left. Bam didn't get subbed out until there was 1:08 left. And when Kobe scored his 81st point, Toronto's deficit became 20 points. When Bam hit his 83rd point, Washington's deficit was 24 points. So if we're going to prop one player up to belittle the other, let's use context. But hey, y'all don't respect Bam Adebayo for doing similarly what Kobe Bryant did. But that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. You all have a great rest of your day. Please be safe. God bless you guys. Love.